Hello everyone, how are you guys going? My name is Victor and I'm here to present a tool that I built. I'm currently on the process of trying to deploy it so you guys can get your hands on it. Uh, and then I will later use it, show you guys how I build it and how you can use it, right? But first, if you want to skip all that I'm about to say, I'm sure the nice people in the comments will point to a timestamp where you can go there and just see the tool being used. But first, I would like to talk a little bit about my history and my history with Magic and especially with cEDH, right? So I hope you guys can understand and make someone can connect with my story, right? So basically, I've been playing Magic for 10 years and I just recently started playing cEDH, not more than a year, right? But I really fell in love with the format. So how I got introduced to it was with the BoshAndRoll videos, because he played Point City, right? I believe Point City 1 and Point City 2, and he did very well. And I've always watched his channels and his legacy gameplay, so I was like, maybe I should try cEDH because uh, for me, it felt like something very amazing with his storytelling because he was talking about stack battles and how you can win over someone in the middle of their win attempt. So, and no other format in Magic has that feeling. So I figured I should give it a try, and I'm so glad I did because for me now it's like the most fun format of all time, right? Because you have four people, it's very like a lot of information to keep track of, and that's makes it more challenging, but always also makes it more rewarding, right? So yeah, I really fell in love with it. So when I saw his first video, I started building my Tymna and Kraum list. Uh, I took almost a year to finish it because it's not like a ship format, right? I know some places allow proxies, but I never knew this when I was first building the deck. So I just started building, and then he posted his second video, I believe, when he won Point City 2 or top 8 or something. And that made me want to build it even more, right? So I just rushed it and finished the deck. The staples that were missing, I just added a random card there. I just added some random cards there. And I was like, okay, so now I have a deck. And I started going to my local game store to try to find someone to play. And I started playing and I started loving the format even more, right? So yeah, first shout out is to BoshAndRoll for his introducing me to the format, right? Second shout out is going to be for the cEDH TV YouTube channel. Because of him, this tool that I built does the same analysis that he does on these videos, right? And I found his videos when I was trying to optimize my own Tymna and Kraum list, to make sure what are the best cards that I can place. Is this card good? Is this card bad? Right? Because one thing that I love about cEDH is all the lists are 80% or 9% the same, right? So the difference very, very small. And it was how can I make sure in those 8 or 9 slots that I have, I'm playing the best card possible, right? And the cEDH TV channel had some kind of statistical analysis that was leaning on that direction, and I like it very much. And while watching it, I got the idea that I might be able to build something like this, but that can run on any commander, so I don't need to wait for his videos, right? But it's just a disclaimer: I'm not a mathematician or an statistical guy, right? I'm just a programmer, so I did my best impression of what I think is the right analysis. But for sure, if you guys have any feedback about the math that I'm doing, make sure you comment on this video, right? So I can try to understand and better improve my algorithm. I'm not saying this is the best algorithm there. I'm just saying that I built it. I think it's good. I want to show you guys. Probably not perfect, right? So let's keep that in mind for now. And also, my third shout out will be to EJ Top 16, right? It's this website here. I'm using their database for the analysis. If they didn't provide an API with all the data, that analysis wouldn't be possible. So huge shout out to them. I think it's the most important one on this video because without this data, I couldn't have built anything. So this is the most important things. And yeah, so I just want to make sure if you don't know this website, please visit it. It's like very good, and it shows like lists for all the like all the tournaments, right? You're gonna see that they have some filters here, right? And these filters are the same that I have here, and that's not a coincidence. I'm using their database, and it's spread here, right? So without more delay, I want to introduce you guys to my blue farm list. Uh, I built a list with what I thought was like the best cards at the moment because I had a lot of experience playing Magic, but I wasn't sure if those were the real best cards, right? So, for instance, this is my old Tymna and Kraum list I was running. And just like another small disclaimer, I just play Tymna and Kraum. The tool works for any commander, right? But I'm just focused on Tymna and Kraum here because it's the only deck that I play. It's the only deck that I like. I'm sure like there are people that will find it more useful to have multiple decks, but it's very expensive. I just have one. I love it. I'm not even near like mastering it, so I'm cool with just one deck for now. So one thing that I like to share that the tool showed me is like I was doing basic lands, right? Because I've come from other Magic formats where like cards like Blood Moon are maybe staples, and I hate losing for Blood Moon. I think just greedy people lose to Blood Moon because they can't like build a deck that's not greedy, right? So I was running basics because I was sure like someone would catch me with Blood Moon, right? And this is my new list here now. Now that I have like the tool understanding that I run some of my own analysis, like this is what I consider to be close to the most optimized Tymna and Kraum list. And I'm going to explain why close to in a moment. But as you can see, there are no basics, right? Because it's not necessary, because you have like mana rugs and stuff that make sure even if someone has Blood Moon, that wouldn't like affect you too much, right? So why I say most optimized tool is because you have to consider your metagame, right? My tool is just a data analysis tool, but in the end, like your metagame will dictate a lot of your decisions, right? So this one thing that I want you guys to say, like opposition agents, if you go by my tool, it will say it's not a right call on Tymna and Kraum, right? Probably the same with Drained Magistrate. I guess Drained is not statistical significant. We can look into that in just a moment. But like I play a lot against Magda, and these cards solely kills Magda, right? So I keep it in my deck, even though it's not like the most statistically optimal choice, because I'm not facing the most statistical metagame, right? If that makes sense. So while you're using the tool, keep that in mind. Okay? So now that you have it, I'm going to show you how I changed my list from this to this, and how you can probably do the same once I get this website up and running, right? I'm not sure how, or like, I'm not sure when that will be. Right now, it's just on my local machine. But no more delongs. Let me show you how it works. So basically, here you place your commander, right? So in my case, it's Crown and Tymna, right? And then you search the card that you want to analyze. So in my case, let's see one card that I changed from my list was like Urja Sagas, right? Because I thought Urja Sagas has to be like a good card. Not sure why it wasn't loading there, but yeah, here we go. I'm sure this has to be like a good staple. And I also have like Vexing Bauble to fetch with it. And I was like, yeah, has to be good, right? So what I did, uh, yeah. So you type the card you want and you click the analyze button. And now it downloads the EDH top 16 database, and it runs the statistical analysis on it, and it will output the result here. So just give it a few seconds. First time takes a little bit longer. Yeah. So here it goes. We have like Tymna and Kraum, and the card that I'm trying to look at. And here it says that have like 11% chance of lowering my like. Let me try to explain a little better what it's doing. It's looking at all the lists and all their like win and loss records, right? And it sees whether or not having that card makes it more likely for you to be on the winning or on the losing, right? And also it runs like a statistical significant analysis on the data. So what we want here, right, is P to be equal or less than 0.05. Anything above that is not like a statistical significant point of data, but like you see here, it could be an indication, right? It's not for sure that user saga is bad card, but data is starting to point on that way, right? So this is what I want you guys to keep in mind. I'm not sure how cEDH runs their analysis on what database, because they have like p-values that are very very small, right? And I don't get those here. Like I've tried a bunch of cards, I never get like p-values that are very very small. So take the results with a grain of salt, right? But this tells to me that I'm not like better running Urza Saga on my deck, right? And the same is true for like every basic lane. So let me try planes and let's see how it scores. Loading. Yeah, okay. So planes, yeah, and like very beautiful Spider-Man planes here. It just fetches the most up-to-date image, so I guess that's why it fetches the Spider-Man 2, the Spider-Man basic land one. But feels nice. And like the same, this one says like it's not very good to your deck, right? And here we have like two analyses: one that's like win rate, that just consider win and losses, and one that consider win, losses, and draws. So this might let you know if a card is good to help you get draws or not, right? So this is why there's two percentages. They are usually the same, right? So I wouldn't worry about it. And here you can see there's not a lot of deck lists running planes. There's just 3 on the database. So it's gonna warn you that like there's low expected frequency. There's not a lot of decks that runs planes, so this data is not relevant. And the same is true if you go to a card that everyone's running, like Risk Study. It's gonna say probably that's higher win percent, but it will also say that nobody's not running it, so you can't know for sure the card is good, right? Because you don't have like something to compare, right? So for instance, this is a nice example. It says like risk study is bad for your deck. We all know that's false, right? Risk study is a good card to be in your deck. But why it's saying this is because it has like low expected frequency. This means what? This means there's like not a lot of deck that doesn't run risk study, right? So currently on the database there's 755 decks that have risk study and just 2 that don't. So you can see why that may cause it to not be as accurate as it should, right? So this is the win rate comparison. It's the same, just 2 different ways of looking into that. Here's like the finer data if you want, right? So decks with games, the record win, losses, and draws, right? The win rate to consider win and losses, and here consider win and losses and draws, right? And here's like the win rate overall and the p-value overall, right? So this is what you guys can expect using my tools, right? Is this like everything? No, it's not. Let's take a look at other cards that I changed from my deck. So like Vexing Bubble, right? That was using together with your sagas. Let's see if that's a good inclusion on Tymna and Kraum also. So as you can guys see here, Vexing Bubble is a bad card for Tymna and Kraum and almost for sure, right? So it lowers our in percent, and this time is statistically significant, right? So p-value is below the number that I said. That's 0.05, so it's below that. So it's gonna warn you, yeah, this is significant. You shouldn't run this card on Tymna and Kraum if you want to win, right? Of course, maybe you have like a lot of Eteli on your metagame, and you want to keep the chunking in check. Chunking in check, that's fun to say. So yeah, run at it if you want, right? But just like on the overall metagame, there are some decks that are running it, and those decks are not performing good. And you can see like almost all decks don't run it, and the ones that does are doing like worse. So this is like a very good indication that you maybe shouldn't be running this card, right? And as you can see, I did this for like almost every other card that I had questions on my list, right? And I got to the conclusion and I optimized my list to be this one. Like I said, this is the best version possible. No, because I'm taking my local metagame into consideration. So you should do the same, right? So, and if you think like this is all the tool can do, you'd be wrong, right? I just want to clarify a lot of more stuff because here you can filter on the standing. When you up the standing, you're gonna include more data, but it's also bad quality data because you are comparing decks that are doing like a very bad position in the tournament, right? So this will skew your data towards like a broader group of decks. But if your point is trying to optimize win rate, maybe looking at every deck possible is not like optimal, and maybe you are better served by looking at just the the fewer decks that are making results, right? So this is like a little bit of a give and take because yeah, for sure, when you look at more decks, you have more data, but the risk is that that data is worse, right? And so if you narrow down to like just decks that top 16 or top 32, right? You're gonna have a lot less decks to run your analysis on. So like I said, I'm not a math guy, I'm not a statistical guy. I'm not sure which one is better, but you have the option here. And here, like the time period, I like to leave it post ban because I believe like this is the ban that banned Druid Lotus and Dockside Extortionist, right? It was just when I about to enter the format. I think I played like 5 games with those two cards, and then I have and then like they got banned. So yeah, basically all my time that I play CGH, I'm not familiar with those cards. But you can like do different time frames. You can include all time that will include decks that have those cards on them, but maybe that's not like a fair comparison. So that's why I like to keep it post ban because it's the greater number of data points without skewing it to something that doesn't is possible anymore, like decks with Dockside Extortionist, right? So just keep that in mind. Those filters and those configurations, and just keep in mind those back and forth that I try to explain you while you're using the tool, right? And finally, one other thing that I want to show is like the final thing that the tool can do is that let's say you don't want to analyze a specific card, but you want to analyze like a commander, right? So what you can click analyze commander, and this will try to look at all the cards and rank them by a win rate, right? So here the number of the mean inclusion is like how many decks must include that card before you consider it, right? So if you're gonna play 10%, you ask, I'm only gonna look at the cards and rank the cards that have more that are present in more than 10% of decks, right? And here is like how many cards you want to plot, and you can just keep that in the maximum if you want more data. This will take more time, or you can leave it at a lower point if you just want to look at the real top cards and not a lot of trash data, right? So this, if I run this on 10%, it will just show me the cards that are like almost prevalent in a lot of decks, right? And this is gonna show you the table, right? It's gonna look at 289 decks on these filters here, post ban and 16, and it's gonna to say what are the best cards for it, right? It will also say if the result is statistically significant or not. Looks for me for this filter, there is none in that list, right? So let's try expanding the filter a little bit so we can get like more data. So let's try to run again and let's see how it leaves this. So basically now what we did, uh, it loaded here and it's trying to say here that like for Tymna and Kraum and for these specific filters, the best performing card is Enchant, right? It's on 6.87% of decks. It's like 63 decks on the database analyzed, but its win rate is very high, right? this is like considering draws, and this is just ignoring draws. So for orange chance, for meticulous archives for the Monarchy Council, it says, yeah, those results are statistically significant. You're gonna see the p-value here, and they are all below the threshold that I told. So make sure this like take this into consideration. And all the other cards that also have like a good win rate, maybe not have like a good p value, right? So like Deep Gnome Terramancer looks to be like a good card, but if you see, you're gonna see that it doesn't have any win rate related to it. Like, uh, although it has like a win rate related to it, it doesn't have like a nice p value, right? So this should be taken into consideration. So take that into consideration when you are like running your analysis, right? So one thing that's maybe better to do is to order by p-value, and you're going to see every result that's statistically significant, even if slower or higher. So for instance, one change that I did to my deck, I used to run the One Ring. Yeah, it's here, and it's not on my new release because of this. Because it says like for sure the One Ring is like a bad card for Tymna and Kraum, right? And you can double check here if you just go here and analyze the card that you just saw. You're gonna see that for sure you're gonna probably get to the same result. That yeah, stop running the One Ring in Tymna and Kraum, right? Unless you have like a metagame justification for it, which could also be true, right? So here it's significant that the One Ring is associated with like a -6% win rate, right? Is this true? Maybe. It's statistically significant for this data set. This doesn't mean it's true, but it means that you should consider removing these cards from your deck. Right? And just wrapping up, guys, I'm gonna show you like other stuff that I find, right? So let me actually just swap the filter here. I'm gonna plot more cards, and I'm gonna do a very small inclusion just to like wrap it up, so you guys can show, so I can show you guys like most of the changes that I made and why I kept some of my decisions, right? Let it just finish loading. Yeah. So here you see, let's order by. I guess let's not order by statistics. Let's filter out everything that's not, right. So show only statistically significant cards. This will filter everything that's no, and you can just look at what's important for you. So what you should be running for sure on Tymna and Kraum, if you want to know, just before I wrap up the video, is like Orange Hand's good, Surveillance, yeah, they're good. Demonic Council, yeah, just a second copy of Demonic Tutor, go ahead. Another Surveillance, right? So go ahead and run it. This one surprised me, Mox Amber, right? But Tymna and Kraum is like very starving for mana, right? So a nice inclusion if you are not. Red Elemental Blast, like I guess this is the same with like Pyroblast, so yeah. Ad nauseum, some people say do not run ad nauseum, the format is very turbo, but like the data says it's just a little bit, right? Just a little bit better to run it than to not run it, right? And this has been my experience with ad nauseum, right? This looks to be the case, right? It's statistically significant, and there is a lot of data on this scenario. If you want to cut it from your decks, sure, cut it. But I kept it in mind, right? And here, like other things that are not very different, so Rite of Flame, Final Fortune, like this is saying that it's about the same if you want to run those or not, right? Yeah, so that nothing to say here. And these are the cards that are actually hurting, right? So one card that surprised me is like Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune is not a good card, right? I still run it on my list because even though the data indicates that it's not a good card, I love because it helps me keep hands that are otherwise mulligable. So I just like, yeah, I have like Spirit Guide, Mana, and Wheel of Fortune. Maybe I will, like, if I'm in the first turn order, maybe that will help me get a better hand. Like, it's a little bit of a gamble, right? But I like this card because of that. Cyclonic Rift I cut. Opposition Agents I didn't cut because I play with versus Magda a lot, so that's important. The One Ring I cut it. The Shock lands I cut it, right, to make room for the lands that can produce all colors of mana. And those are the Spire of Industry and the new one from Final Fantasy starting town, right? So I cut those shocks for those lands. And I guess that's all the other cuts that I made. The other ones I didn't play, so I didn't have to cut them from my deck. And yeah, I guess that's it. And just so you guys can check it out once the program is out, right? It works for all the commanders. So I guess yeah, let's just place a card here like Rogsai with deflecting SWAT. It's gonna work the same, right? No matter what commander and card you say. So yeah, that's surprising me, but it's saying here that if you have Rogsai, you shouldn't run deflecting SWAT. What, in my opinion, doesn't make a lot of sense, but the data seems to be significant. So yeah, so I think that's a nice place to end it up. So the two exists, or it's gonna exist soon. I hope you guys enjoy it. Take it with a grain of salt, right? In my opinion, the flexing SWAT is good in Rogsai, but I'm not a Rogsai player. So maybe you can place at the comments and tell me why the flexing SWAT might be bad on Rogsai, because I'd love to hear that. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you for your time. Like, this was like very fun to record. Sorry for my English, not very good. Maybe you guys understand everything. Okay, best regards. Bye bye.